Welcome to this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice. And what we'll do today is go through a sequence of practices, getting grounded and centered and settled first. And then from that base of being more in our body than in our head, we'll then work with the breathing and experience the transitions that when we're present, when we're off in thoughts, coming back, and how to work with that. Then we'll go into a more environmental awareness, open awareness, and connect with the perceptions, and also with our thoughts and having a relationship with our thoughts. And then at the end, because we're all interdependent on this particular planet, we'll work with compassion practice in how we relate with other beings, living beings on the planet. So, to begin, it's helpful to get centered, settled, grounded, and we do this in a sitting posture. If you're lying down, there's a tendency to fall asleep. And I know some people do yoga and they do the what's called the corpse pose at the end, and they lie down. And I've been in yoga classes, and the instructor saying, just be with your experience, be with your body, be with your breathing, and then you hear this little, and somebody's gone out, and then. If we do standing, there is a walking meditation practice, but if we're doing this particular practice, if we're standing trying to do it, there's a tendency to move one side or the other, and we're not exactly grounded. So, in a chair or on a cushion on the floor, if you're on a cushion on the first thing is your seat, and getting your sit bones feeling like they're sinking into the chair. Too often we're perched, we're kind of ready to get up and go, and we don't even realize it. Our muscles are tense and we're perched, and we're not really sitting in the chair. Just let your weight sink into the cushion and feel your sit bones, and move one side to the other till you find that they're the equal weight on each sit bone. And you can even tilt a little bit forward or back to be sure that you're not that you're not leaning one way or the other. Now, first is the weight, and then what to do with the legs. Well, if you're on the floor, it's pretty simple that you cross your legs in front of you. In a chair, you can keep them flat on the floor with your lower legs perpendicular to the ground and your knees about hip width apart and your feet about hip width apart. But if your legs are long or your chair is short and your knees are higher than your hips, you want your knees to be a little even with, or ideally a little lower than your hips. So just slide your feet towards each other, then cross at the ankles and let your knees widen out so that then they will be below your hips. Unless you really have to, it's better not to be leaning back in your chair, but just sitting up. And that brings us to the torso. We want to be upright. And as I said, not tilted one side or the other, forward or back, but upright, but not rigid. The only little bit of tension I'd like to introduce is, tilt this down a little bit, right here in the center of your sternum. Feel like it goes slightly up and slightly forward, just a quarter of an inch, just like that. And you'll feel by raising and pushing that a little tiny bit forward, your shoulders come back naturally. You might feel your shoulder blades pinch a tiny bit. It opens your chest for your breathing. So it's a good extra bit of, a little bit of effort, but it's worth it. Let your arms, your upper arms hang down perpendicular to the ground. So they're hanging straight down from your shoulders. Leave your elbows where they are and swivel your hands up so your forearms go along your thighs with your hands palm down on each thigh just behind your knees. so you're not reaching forward or artificially pulling back. Your neck and the back of your head is a continuation of your upright spine, so that your chin is not sticking out forward or tilted down or lifted up. But if the back of your neck is straight up, and I'm going to turn my device a little to the side, you'll see that I'm not pulling my chin in, I'm just extending the back of my neck up from my spine, and the chin comes in naturally. And it creates a pathway so that when we breathe in through our nose, and it's a straight down pathway into our lungs. If we tilt down, we get sleepy. If we tilt up, we get spaced out. If we're leaning forward, it's again like we're ready to go ahead rather than just be in the present where we are. Your jaw is relaxed, but not hanging wide open. And we're going to breathe in through our nose. But when you breathe out, if some comes out your mouth, it's okay. So if you want your lips slightly parted, that's all right. If you have them lightly touching and just breathe in and out through your nose, that's fine too. Your tongue can just rest naturally, or if you're comfortable, a traditional thing is to let the tip of your tongue rest against your upper palate, just behind your front teeth. And it's said that minimizes the flow of saliva a bit. And again, if you have saliva in your mouth when we're sitting, this isn't rigid. If you need to swallow, swallow. If you feel a pain in your back or your legs or anywhere, just move a little bit. Now, if you feel some kind of itch and an urge to scratch, don't just react, but just be with it for a moment. If it totally preoccupies your mind and you can't be with your breath at all when we're doing that practice, just consciously say, I'm gonna scratch it now. Slowly move, do the scratching, move back, and return to the technique whatever technique we're working with. So, having taken the posture, to start with, let your eyes gently close and do a body scan, just awareness of residual tension that you may not know you have, but just scan your scalp, your face. There might be some tension around your eyes, your ears, again, your jaw. Just let it melt. Just awareness of the tension by itself melts it, like the sun coming up and melting snowflakes on a leaf. Your neck and shoulders, often we walk around with our shoulders near our ears and don't even realize it. Don't push them down, but just let your shoulders hang naturally. We have a little bit of tension that I asked you to put into your sternum raising up, but relax everything around that. Your upper arms, your chest and back, your rib cage, your stomach, lower back, deep belly, pelvic region. Often we're clenched there in our deep belly and pelvic region. Just without losing your posture, let them soften, let them melt. Hips, thighs, forearms, and hands. Notice any tension in your hands, just let it soften. Knees, calves, ankles, and feet. And having noticed all these areas of your body, we're fully inhabiting our body, so we're not so much in our heads. And let your awareness rest deep in the core of your torso. We're three-dimensional beings. There's a front, a depth from front to back, not just side to side. We're so used to seeing ourselves in a mirror, sometimes we think of ourselves as just the front. So deep in the core of your torso, feel that depth. Rest your mind a few inches below your navel, just in front of your spine. And feel your lower torso expand in all directions as the breath comes in, around that point. Feel it contract as the breath goes out, like gentle waves coming up the shore and then rushing back into the water. Coming up, flowing back. Now what we're experiencing is our diaphragm pushing down to draw air in, pushing up to expel the air. But we're feeling it not so much in our lungs as in our deep belly. As if our deep belly, our torso, was filling with air all the way down. Filling and emptying. It's quiet down there. Now for this part of the practice, gently let your eyes open about halfway so that you're gazing down almost along the angle of your nose, just a couple of feet in front of you. And it's good if you move your device so you're not looking into the screen. And as the breath comes out your nostrils, it's coming into that space, just that little space in front of you. So be aware of the space that your body is sitting in, just in front and a little bit around you. Your posture, and the deep feeling deep in your core of the breath filling and emptying. As for your eye gaze, don't focus tightly on a point. Look in a particular direction and then soften your gaze. It's as if you're looking just at the space that your body's sitting in, not any particular thing. Now, be with the breath, filling, emptying, filling, and emptying. Thoughts may appear in your mind. Just let them come and go when your main focus is on the breathing. But if one thought leads to another, takes you off into a daydream, you won't be aware of your breathing anymore. You won't be aware of your posture. At some point, it will pop, the daydream will pop, and you go, oh, and you're back. At that point, reconnect with posture, breathing, and soft gaze of the space in front of you. We'll do that for a couple of minutes. If you've gotten drowsy and your eyes closed, your head tilted down, reinvigorate your posture. Open your eyes a little bit wider, still gazing somewhat downward. And pay attention to the whole process of the breathing, the feeling of the air coming in your nostrils, going all the way down to your deep core, then turning around, coming back out, and then starting in again. If you find your mind was kind of wild and just mostly off in thoughts, keep your gaze lowered and really go back into your deep, deep core and feel the details as much as you can of how the filling starts until it's all the way filled, then turns around and empties. Like that gentle surf coming up till it stops, up the shore till it stops, and then turns back around and goes out. Then the next one comes in, goes up, and back out. We'll do that for a couple more minutes. As the sound of the gong fades, just reinvigorate your posture. Get resettled. And now we'll work with open awareness. So once you've retaken your posture, let your eyes open naturally. Your gaze will be slightly below horizontal. Again, move your device so you're not looking into the screen, your device or your seat. And as the breath goes out, comes out and mixes with the atmosphere in the room, and diffuses and dissolves and becomes one with the atmosphere in the room. In the same way, ride the breath out with your awareness. Let your awareness open out wider, your full peripheral vision. Soften your gaze. Again, not looking at a particular point, but looking straight ahead and then opening to the landscape view of the space you're in. Out, open to spaciousness. And go out with a few breaths that way. Out, open, and then just rest in that spaciousness. As the breath comes in naturally, your body will breathe itself in. You're aware of it, but main focus is then go out and open and rest in that openness. Do that for a few breaths. Really relax your focus. Rest in that feeling of openness. Let the breath continue in the background. And now pay attention, aware of the colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark in your visual experience. Without moving your eyes, you can explore, move your awareness around your field of vision. Just notice the vividness of the colors, the sharpness of the contrast of light and dark. Labels may come up in your mind as to what you're thinking. Just let them come and go. All you see are colors, shapes, and shades of light and dark. Now leaving your eyes open, put your gaze a little more downward. Listen for sounds. You can hear the sound of my voice coming through the device. sounds with silence in between. Just open, it's as if you're opening your peripheral hearing all around you. Sounds near and far. How far away can you hear sounds? Loud and soft, high-pitched and low. Again, labels may come to your mind of what the sound is. Just let them come and go, but attend to the sound itself. And again, with your eyes still open but lowered gaze, feel all the sensations in your body. The movement as the breath comes in and out. The air on the skin of your face and hands, anywhere else exposed to the air. The feeling of your clothing on your skin. How your feet are pressing into the ground. Your seat into the chair or cushion. Maybe you can feel your pulse in your hands or your chest or your neck. You can experiment with these with smell and taste as well, but we'll skip that for today. But there's a sixth perception. You perceive your thoughts. So again, with your eyes open, watch your mind and watch for the next thought that appears. At some point it will disappear. It'll seem like it changes into another thought, but it actually ends and another thought begins. Notice how thoughts follow each other. Just watch the appearance of thoughts, like bubbles coming to the surface. Like birds flying by. And once again, go out with the out breath. Just awareness of the space. Notice how the mind moves from sights to sounds to bodily sensations in no particular order. Thoughts, sounds, bodily sensations, sights. Just let the mind be and notice how it moves from one perception to another. Notice if a particular thought gives rise to a feeling, a combination of mental and bodily sensations. And now reinvigorate your posture. Take a moment, move a little bit and refresh. And now we'll explore our interdependence with other beings on this planet. This is more of a contemplation, but we still use the breath as our reference point. But to begin with, and you can do this with eyes open or closed, just think of the sky above you in all directions. And under that sky, you exist, and all other beings on this planet exist under that same sky. Different places, but the same sky. We have that in common. Thanks to gravity, we're all here on the earth. The same dirt, or the oceans, for creatures that live in the oceans. It's all share the same planet, different places, but the same earth. In between is the atmosphere. We all exist in that atmosphere. The molecules of air that we breathe, inhale and exhale, they could diffuse and at some point end up on the other side of the world. And we all share the wish for contentment, safety, love and caring. Peace of mind, free from anxiety. We all share the wish to be free from anxiety, from pain, from fear, all those kinds of suffering. We all want all those kinds of well-being and free from all those kinds of suffering. So engender in your heart, we all have the capacity for love and compassion. Find that place in your heart, and from that, feel the wish, the aspiration. You can start with one person, a loved one. Wish that as you breathe out, you could send them all the caring, love, and well-being, peace, health, and happiness. Send that out to them. As you breathe in, imagine you could take away from them all the things that are causing them anxiety and pain and suffering, mental and physical. Send them well-being, free them from suffering. If it helps to put your hand on your heart center, center of your chest at heart level, you can do that. But from the heart, wish that you could give them all that well-being. Fill their beings with well-being. That you could breathe in and empty all their mental and physical suffering. As best you can, expand that to more and more people, animals. Breathing out and filling them with well-being. Breathing in and alleviating, relieving their mental and physical suffering. As you send them happiness, feel the happiness fill your being as well. As you relieve them from suffering, relieve yourself. Give yourself permission to let go of the pain and suffering. And as best you can, expand that out to all living beings everywhere on the planet. So much suffering. Relieve them of all that suffering. So much need for contentment and well-being. Send that out to all of them. And for the last few breaths, we'll go deeper, because the source of so much of the pain and suffering is ignorance, fear, and the poisonous emotions of greed, hatred, intolerance, prejudice, lust for power, envy. Imagine that as you breathe in, like extracting poison from a snake bite, you can extract all these negative emotions from everyone. And as you breathe out, instead fill them with the opposite, the positive: love, caring, kindness, acceptance, tolerance, generosity, equality, patience. And as the going fades, let go of the contemplation and come back to being in the body, being with the breath, being with the space you're sitting in. And thank you for your practice. And as further inspiration to take us through our lives with that same attitude of caring and kindness, let's share the aspiration that whatever practice we've done today is going to actually let us be better at being there for others, as a listener, as a helper, just as a presence of kindness and stability. So you can repeat after me or put it in your own words. May the practice we have just done be of even more benefit to others than to ourselves. And that's ultimate generosity. So thank you again for your kind attention, and that ends this session of mindfulness, awareness, and compassion practice.